You know, if you're speaking of terroir, which is that essence of the vineyard and all the factors that make up the essence of the vineyard, I think as important as the fruit itself is the bloom on the outside of the fruit that comes out of the vineyard. And so, for example, the yeasts that come out of Clos Electrique are completely different than the yeasts that come out of Abbey Ridge. And I've got a block of Abbey Ridge that is, that's got Clos Electrique clones in it. And so they should be somewhat comparable if it was just the fruit itself. And they're always completely different wines. And the type of organisms that grow in the vineyards, you know, there's always this thing about Brettanomyces, and you know, which is in some quarters considered a spoilage yeast, and I figure it's a yeast, and not that I want Brettanomyces to dominate anything I have, but the only wines that I've really ever had much of any Brettanomyces show up in have come out of Clos Electrique, never out of Abbey Ridge. So there's a completely different microbial makeup on the grapes that typify that vineyard versus what typifies Abbey Ridge. So, so wild yeasts are, yeah, they're important. They're important in terms of how those wines manifest themselves and what they turn into. And I'm not against inoculating. I think inoculation has a lot of pluses to it, and I do it sometimes on white wines that I want to be clean and fresh and have pretty high-tone aromatics. I inoculate those. Chardonnay, I typically let wild yeast do most of the fermentation, but I have several barrels that I will do a strong inoculated yeast in it. And when I get down towards the end of the fermentation, I will top those barrels with the barrels that have the inoculum in it in order to help them finish their fermentation. Because a lot of times wild yeast crap out on you. And then you're left with residual sugar, or, you know, or a chance of a lactic acid spoilage or something like that. But I think the wines are more descriptive of where they're from if you let the microbes that are from the vineyard. So I also don't inoculate with malolactic. I let that do its own thing too. So who knows whether it's leuconostoc or pediococcus or what it is, but it is whatever comes in on that fruit.